Introducing BC Talk with Kristen and Erik. And I'm Erik, and you'll meet Kristen in a second. So this is a new thing on the YouTube channel. I have invited Kristen onto the channel, as hopefully she will come back. So hopefully this is a regular thing. And we talk about what is going on in the BC community. We talk about lots of stuff. It might be in the future the perspective between a developer and a consultant, and lots of topics that can be covered. But enough of just me here. Let's switch over to the real thing, and I will see you there. And on my whatever side that may be, I'm actually not sure what side I am on in this brief moment. We have Kristen Hossman, live from, well, not live, but kind of live from, wait, hang on, where are you?
I'm about 35 minutes southwest of Denver in Colorado.
So you're up in the mountains. Do you own a snowplow?
We do not have a snowplow, unfortunately.
But you should.
I should figure out how I can put a snowplow on the front of my Jeep, and then I would be set for the winter.
Because that's mountain life, right? You need to have a snowplow in front of your Jeep.
Yeah, usually the snow just melts in a couple days, so we get pretty lucky. But this last week here, we've gotten about 15 inches, so we did have to pay someone to come plow the driveway for us. Business expense.
Well, so this is we are probably the most mountaineerish Microsoft MVPs, at least in the Business Central group. So you take care of the Rockies down in Colorado, and I handle the whatever we call these mountains up here in Vancouver. But the reason we are here is, of course, to talk about BC, and now that it's 2023, it's a new year, so how about we make some predictions? How about we talk about what 2023 will bring for, from the perspective of BC?
Okay, sounds
good. I think so. Here's a pretty safe bet. We're getting two new versions. We are getting version 22, and we're getting version 23. So actually, I think, in 2023, we'll have version 23. And in 2024, we'll have version 24. But then the version numbers will overtake the years, I think, if I can do math. And I think I can in this case. So what do you think will happen in the two versions we will get this year? What do you hope for?
Well, Microsoft just shipped out version 21 with a lot of updates to the financial reporting. They had renamed account schedules to now financial reporting. I hope to see some more enhancements with that functionality. So I'm hoping they're not done making that better. Hopefully they don't surprise us with another huge thing like the Shopify connector. I don't know if we can handle that again, but that was big news as well last year, if you recall.
Why was it big news?
Well, I think it was big news because there were so many ISV solutions out there that had connectors that they were selling. And, the ultimate fear for them is that now it's built into the solution that they're not going to be able to sell their product. They're not going to be as profitable, and it won't be as easy to sell. But I do think, we saw it at Directions EMEA, this open source, and we have even a few European MVP developers that are building things and putting it out there open source, and other people putting it out there open source as well. I think it's just opening up a whole new, just a ton of more opportunities for people to do that and get their code out there.
So you hope that Microsoft doesn't venture into more app acquisitions, that that they just stay in the lane, so to speak. Is that what you're saying?
I think there's enough enhancements in the system that Microsoft can focus on without bringing in those acquisitions. There's enough other stuff, to make the product better and let these ISVs focus on what they do
But
best,
but
I guess is where I'm going with
but
that.
there's now over 3,000 apps in App Source. So with that perspective, Microsoft cannot do anything because no matter where you would take a step, there's probably already an app somewhere.
Yeah, that's very
So
true. And out of those 3,000 apps, you know, nobody knows what they all are, right? We can go in there and search by keywords and different things like that to try and find what we need, but there is a lot out there. You're right.
so how many apps do you know? Of the 3,000, how many apps do you know? And by know, I'm meaning that apps that you have used at customer, you have seen, you apps that you feel comfortable enough to recommend to your customers of the 3,000.
Yeah. That that's a great question. The top of my head, this past week, I reached out to another MVP, Mary Myers, on training me on that Clockify integration that Stefan Moran built because I was interested in that. So got that one. Um, I've been using the statistical accounts dimension, statistical accounts extension for a while. Clients coming off of Dynamics GP are used to using statistical accounts in their financials. So that's a good one. And then kind of leading into this, I was hoping you were going to ask me this question because one of the other apps that, well, you know that I love it is your toolbox. The toolbox I use probably weekly, just trying to fix issues. I mean, my background is GP, where I have access to the SQL database, where I can just quickly make changes and fix things. And your toolbox allows me to do that with Business Central. Now,
That's a secret.
disclaimer,
Oh.
not everything needs to be not everything needs to be fixed with the toolbox, right? You can do a lot of the stuff front end, or just reversing and different things like that. But I would say that those are the three big favorites that I have right now when it comes to
So
extensions.
that's 1,000 of the apps in App Source. So you're
Yeah,
behind. No, no, but
I'm way
so
behind.
it is interesting because um, so my hope, one of my hopes, is that Microsoft finally starts improving the base app. Uh, I think there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed. There's a lot of things that are where we are behind the competitors, and there's a lot of things
Mhm.
that are the way they were built 20 years ago. And I
Right.
think that I think I I think I'm actually in the camp of let's repeat the Shopify thing. Um, and you can always discuss whether how to handle the politics in this, but I, I I think Microsoft needs to find a way to move the base app forward, and move the base app into this world, because a lot of the stuff that happens in base app are working the exact same way it did in Nav 20 years ago, basically. Nothing has changed. A lot of code is the same, and I know that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think there's a lot of room for improvements. There are a lot of things that were started and then not really completed. Like, why doesn't dimensions work everywhere? Right, we have two global dimensions everywhere, and then some places we got more dimensions, and in other places we don't. And it's kind of, you know, different how it actually works, depending on what module you're in and how much is supported and so on. We finally
Right.
got, what was it? We got the jobs module in 21 got a I forgot what it got a connection to, but there was like a integration piece that was simply orders. I can't even remember that now. Um,
Mm.
but
Okay.
I think they uh, during the Christmas break here, so the platform is great. The platform is awesome. The database, all the AL stuff that I work with every day. It's an awesome platform, and maybe they should do a whole new app, right? Maybe so they have it for a long time. They started using the label modern dev and modern something modern, but we're kind of missing modern app, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think you're onto something there because there's several times where I will train a new client and they'll be like, "Can it do this?" And I'll be like, "No, but gosh, that's a great idea." Or, coming out of their mouth, they'll say, "Well, this is Microsoft. I can't believe, I can't do this." Um, and I think we're pretty lucky, Eric, because for being MVPs, we do kind of have that direct line to Microsoft, where we can have these conversations with them on our suggestions and different things like that. Uh, but I think it would be really cool to see them open up. I'm dreaming here, but like open up some sort of a portal where I know we have the ideas page. There's that ideas website. Everybody goes there and it gets voted on. But sometimes I feel things aren't being seen. Like the things we really need in the app or need to make it better just aren't being seen and aren't being voted up, and they get ignored, right? And then you have developers like yourself that can come in and build that and code that as an extension, right? Case in point, to like just some reporting functionality that's lacking that clients ask for, right? Microsoft isn't planning on putting any sort of that functionality that my clients need or are asking for in there, and I can go to you as a developer and ask you to do it. But it would be really cool for Microsoft to come and say, what have you built? Pitch it to us, like show us what it is, and if they like it, either use it, buy it, whatever they decide to do. But I think that would help bring it even further, because there are so many developers like yourself building really cool things that a lot of people would
no,
utilize.
but so BC Ideas is basically built on the concept of gamification, right? The more people who want something, the more likely it is to be made. Uh, but that also is the concept of well, that's dependent on lots of people knowing what they need when they go in and look at the site,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
ideas that are, you know, forward thinking might not attract that a lot of attention. So in general, it becomes more of a numbers game than a quality game, I kind of dislike the BC ideas, and I've only posted a few there, and nobody liked my ideas. But I think it's a dangerous pass of just, you know, well, lots of people wants this right now, so we'll make this small thing, and not putting it into a bigger strategy. But which I think they do, but it can certainly come across as purely a numbers game. That seems weird. So now you mentioned GP.
Yeah.
So the elephant in the room thing. What new exciting stuff do you think comes to GP in 2023?
Well, I think now that they're on this modern life cycle, there has to be an update, right? I don't think that there's going to be anything new and exciting coming. I think that, you know, Mike Morton came out at Community Summit. I was not there. I have not watched the recording, and I know you had an interview with him as well. And it's my understanding that Microsoft is going to continue with bug fixes and any taxes or regulatory updates that need to happen. But other than that, GP, my background is GP. I spent many, many years as a user and implementing. GP is a very well built solution,
Oh, yeah.
right? And Business Central is too. And both products have an amazing ISV community building, solutions and apps for either product. So I think that the users that are on GP today, they're either chomping at the bit to move to BC. They're either kind of unsure, or they're like, nope, we're just going to stay on GP as long as we possibly can. And I think it's probably a good even mix between the three. I think that the ones that are moving right now are probably, I mean, there probably is some of them, Eric, that are going to their partner and saying, hey, we want to be on the latest and greatest and we want to go to BC, right? And that's great. But a majority of them are probably getting the messaging from the partner, and the partner, trying to move them along to BC and get them off GP pretty quickly. Uh, Myself, I have not opened up GP in a year now. I have not done a GP to BC implementation in about a year and a half. My primary focus is QuickBooks to BC. That's where a lot of my
Okay.
clients are coming off of right now for me is QuickBooks. But you have to keep in mind too is I'm a new partner, right? I've only been a Microsoft partner for a year. And I don't have that GP customer base that can come to me and ask me to move. So a lot of my projects that I'm doing are just simply off of
So,
QuickBooks at
so
this
I
point.
think we're seeing more and more GP customers coming and asking for upgrades. Um, and since because we don't have any GP customers, so everybody who comes to us are you know they're switching partner. Their request about an upgrade to
Right?
BC is also a request for a partner shift. So
Yeah.
kind of imply and it's poor statistical basis to make any conclusions on, but I I think that some GP partners perhaps are not embracing BC enough to actually hold on to their customers. I think they can keep you know keep it going, so to speak. But again, that is my
Right.
very limited
Right.
viewpoint of people actually customers coming to us. Um,
Yeah.
but interesting.
Yeah. And I
Go
will
ahead.
I was gonna say one last thing on this is, the economy is gonna play a big part in it too, right? The cost of a reimplementation, because it's not a migration as people think. You can't just click a button and you come off a GP, right? This is a reimplementation. So there are gonna be costs associated with it. And, with the economy the way it is today, I would say that we're going to see a lot of GP customers right now holding tight. They're just going to stay where they're at and see where it goes. And they know that they have a roadmap until 2028, and that's been confirmed by Microsoft. So we're only in 2023. I think now, it's far enough into this BC, or, bridge to cloud, GP to BC, however you want to say it. I think, that really started
Hmm.
2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. But I think now it's going to plateau for a little bit. And then 2024, 2025, maybe it'll be a different story.
So here's a question. of the GP installations, how many of them are just running GP? Meaning that there's, yeah.
Very few,
So it is
very few.
complicated.
It is complicated because I mean we look at and I don't mean to name drop, but I just happened to see a demo of their product last week. But Cavallo. Um, I used to work for a company that I implemented Dynamics GP for as a manufacturer, a label manufacturer, and we utilize SalesPad with Dynamics GP. And the reason that they haven't moved off of GP yet onto BC was because SalesPad in the cloud, as they know it, was not available yet. Well, they started looking at BC 2 years ago and it wasn't available, and now it is available. So I think, to your point, there are a lot of GP customers right now using ISV solutions that maybe those ISV solutions have said, look, we're not even going to build anything for BC because there
Oh,
are some of
I've
those,
seen those. Yeah.
or they're just not ready yet. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned directions. So a big part of a new year of BC is, of course, all the conferences. So
Mhm.
I think I'm going. So I'll go first here. Uh, I am going to Dynamics Con live, uh, Scottsdale, Arizona, I think. I
Yes.
am going hopefully this year to Directions, North America, in Florida again.
Okay.
This time I will not fly the
Orlando,
airline
Florida.
I flew tried to use the last time. Um, I am going to Summit. Um,
Community Summit.
and Summit is in was not North Carolina, Carolinas somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. I think it's North Carolina.
Um,
Sure.
and perhaps I'm going to Directions EMEA. Perhaps. So where are you going and why?
Where am I going and why? Well, my conference season, I guess, starts in February. You forgot about BC and ski,
Oh,
Eric. Coming to
BC
see
ski.
you?
Yeah, sorry, I've completely forgotten. That's a very
BC ski.
secret conference, right? It's
Very secret.
only our best friends
Um,
knows about that one, and those who are listening to this video.
and you have to ski or snowboard. So there is a little bit of a prereq there. But that'll be our second year doing that one, and that's just a couple people. It came out of kind of COVID, right, where we couldn't get together and share knowledge. So we did one last year where we all just got together, a ton of friends, and we're friends and we have a common theme was business central. So we all got together and decided, you know what, we're gonna do this every year because it gives us a reason to get together. So that kind of kicks everything off, and then you mentioned Dynamics Con Live. I actually will not be there this year because I will be in Europe. I'll be in Slovenia for Dynamics
Dynamics
Minds.
Minds. What is that?
Uh, yeah, look it up. Dynamics Minds. It's going to be user partner focused, and it it's the first time they're hosting a user group in Europe, from what I've heard. So they're really hoping that they get a good turnout. There's a ton of
Who are
speakers.
they?
I think Doccentric is the one helping host that. Don't quote me on that though. But I can get you the URL and we can put that in the description here of the video. So that kicks off in May, and then shortly thereafter is Days of Knowledge Nordic in Denmark. So if I'm going to be in Europe, I might as well go to that as well while I'm there. And then let's see, what do we have next? Oh, I skipped Directions North America. I will be there in Orlando. Hope, hopefully, the weather is nicer so I don't have to pull an overnighter driving with strangers. from Atlanta
Well, at
to
least you got
Orlando.
there. I was stuck in Dallas.
I, I did get there. Yeah, there's quite a few people in the same boat as you, Eric. Um, but let's see. Then we come back to Community Summit. I'm really undecided about Community Summit at this point. I did not attend in 2022 either. And then Directions EMEA in Lyon, France. Hope to go there. So it's going to be a busy 2023.
Yeah, that's a lot. Lots of conferences. Is that too many? Do can the community support all these conferences?
That's a great question, and it is a topic that I feel like I've been talking a lot about lately. Um, I think in the US, having directions directions North America, which is just partner focused, ISV focused, I think there is a need for that, right? And then we have Dynamics User Group hosting Dynamics Con Live, and then we also have Community
So
Summit.
so so so
There's always been
Dynamics
this.
Con Live is the new kid on the block. Uh,
Is the new kid on the block.
and
Yep.
I think, as far as I understand, they haven't really decided whether this is, pure users or partners or user partners. And you mentioned that with the thing in Slovenia. Uh, uh,
Mhm.
and it's kind of weird if
Yeah.
a conference is both geared towards partners and end users. I think. At least
Yeah. I mean,
as
community,
when you come as a speaker, and have to prepare content.
right. Right. And I think if we look at the conferences, like the three big ones in the United States right now is going to be Directions EMEA, Community Summit, and uh, Dynamics Con Live. And Community Summit has always been and always will be user focused, partners, a majority I would say is partners, consultants, MVPs putting the content on. I got my start in my career speaking at Community Summit. So you do have users that come and aspire and get mentored and such and do start speaking, right? I think Community Summit has been around long enough that their user base that comes may not even know about Dynamics Con Live. They've just always gone to Community Summit. That's all they know, and they just keep rinse and repeat every year, right? Where the magic is with Dynamics Con Live, I really think, is that it is a smaller conference. At least now, it's a smaller conference, and it is a mix between users, partners, and ISVs. This year will be the third one. The past 2 years, I've been
Me
there,
too, yeah.
and Eric's been there, and just the atmosphere and the excitement in the room, right? Not just one room, in the rooms is pretty awesome, right? And we're coming out of this COVID lockdown and people just want to get out and I really feel like having that small conference, it's allowed users to, you know, brush elbows per se with MVPs and people that maybe they'd never even talk to, right? So I think it's helped building that community.
I don't disagree with that, but the question is that, now we are, progressed further on the COVID experience,
Mhm.
and maybe the excitement of getting back together is not enough anymore to actually, carry a conference. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Directions EMEA or Directions for a Partner over in Directions EMEA announced that they are hoping in the fall sometime. I think they said September that they're hoping to do like a Days of Knowledge in the United States. And I guess, yeah, the fear is, even looking at the first year of Dynamics Con Live when we were in Anaheim. I mean, look at how many people showed up to that. Can we get enough people to show up then again at a new conference that's trying to kick off in the US? I don't know. I mean, as a speaker, I'm a small business. I can't afford to go to every single conference. And, it's nice that some of the conferences, not all, unfortunately, give the speaker free registration. That's nice and it helps and, to go. But I don't know how any of the speakers are going to be able to continue going to every single conference.
What? Well, I'll use the inclusive we can't, right? Because
Mhm.
it from just from a pure economical perspective, it doesn't make sense. Uh, um, I think I go to the conferences, but I'm also in some cases a schizophrenic. The being that, hey, I'm also an ISV, and then suddenly I enjoy selling a few apps and stuff like that that can kind of help
Mhm.
pay for the not only the direct expenses, but also the week you lose work. Um, the offer cost is,
Yeah.
is substantial also in for some of them. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. It is interesting that the Days of Knowledge folks are trying to expand, and well, all good luck to them. I think it's really a crowded field at this point they're getting into, um, and and I think it's tough towards getting attendees, but it's also tough to get content, um,
Right.
because if they're just going to present the same content that here's a knowledge bomb. If I'm speaking at two, three, four conferences within a season, let's use that term, I mostly actually give the same talks. So if you see me do at one conference and give a talk, it's probably the same talk or a variant thereof I'm giving at the next one. Uh,
Same.
so don't come to four different conferences because you expect that you and I will give completely different talks at every conference, because we can't, right?
Right.
There's a lot of work involved in creating these things.
Right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you attend that Solve My ERP Problems in 2022?
I did.
Wasn't,
Yes, I did in San Francisco. Yeah.
and, I mean, I heard it was a fail. I was not there. So I just heard this from multiple people who were there that I had chatted with. But I think this new conference. The idea was that it was going to be this smaller group, and that users could come and talk to MVPs and talk to partners and get their problems solved. Be able to pay a one-time fee of going to the conference and save hundreds of thousands of dollars in support cases by getting your problems solved at this conference. That was
Maybe
kind of the
not
premise,
hundreds
right?
of thousands. That's a lot of support
Okay.
hours. But yeah, I think that was the
Well,
concept. But
maybe.
well, there were nobody there.
Mhm.
There were more speakers than attendees in the room.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, it was a fail. But it was weird. But I think in the redeeming column, that Summit was actually pretty good this year. Summit was great.
Yeah.
So I think they're called DCI, right? Uh,
Yeah, DCI. And I'm kind of really confused on what their focus is these days because they have the Cloud Wars thing going on as well, and I feel like you know Community Summit has always been there, and they've
Yeah,
been
no,
good at it.
the
So I,
Solma ERP was together with Cloud Wars. It was
well,
in the
yeah,
same. I think
it was,
that
but
they rented a way bigger place than they needed for Cloud Wars, and then we'll move that ERP thing that was supposed to be in
it was supposed to
Phoenix.
be in
Yeah.
Phoenix or
Anyway,
Arizona. Yeah,
um, it's it's going to be an interesting conference season this year.
yeah, for
I
sure.
can see on the on the timer that we have passed a lot of minutes. So I want to say thanks to Kristen for popping into to the channel here, and I know that she want to come back. So the next time we do something like this, we're not going to talk about predictions. We are going to talk about something completely different. Maybe Kristen is going to teach me how to do bank rec, or maybe I'm going to teach Kristen how to code AL or something else. And if there's a topic that you, dear listener, viewer, want us to cover, put them in comments below, and we'll read all of them as usual. And other than that, I think at some point, and now I don't know where to point on the screen because I don't know where I am at this precise moment. But there is a pop-up video overlapping the screen with some of the regular stuff on my channel. So go click that, and I'll see you there. Thanks, Kristen. See you again, and bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.